This is one of the most important moves he has made in his life, was him leaving his National Development Party in '98 and joining Arab Toroitich Daniel Moi and becoming Secretary General of KANU. When Raila becomes Secretary General of KANU, this was his thinking. He said that many people called him a traitor. And this is where I think Raila differs from people like Vestige and maybe Bobby Wine. Raila was never a hostage to his base. He always led the base. It was not the other way around. He was not a hostage of his base. He said that people called him a traitor and things of that sort, but he said he had seen that KANU was weakening and they were what he called KANU zones in the country. That he would only enter those zones, small communities, not the Kalenjin or whatever, that he was targeting by joining KANU, and he would, for example, the Somalis and things of that sort, you would only join them or break ranks with, they would only break ranks with KANU and join you if you had popularized your candidacy, which was impossible under Moi's reign if he had not joined KANU. So he leads the National Development Party into this arrangement, and of course his thinking is that he's going to break KANU from within. So you can imagine such kind of thinking of a young Raila, because he was a young Turk. We're talking about the 90s. So after that, he lives on the precipice around 2001 because he was made Minister of Energy. It was by William Samoei Ruto, and he writes about something interesting, that when he joined the KANU offices, he was given a beautiful office, and the next morning William Ruto came into the office and said, this man should be given a smaller office because the person who's going to ultimately be the successor of Mzee will be Uhuru Kenyatta, who was then part of the tourism board. But interestingly is the conversation that Raila has with Makto, Moi's cousin, because Moi had sent Makto to negotiate with Raila about this merger. And Raila says, I had perceived and knew very that would only achieve through KANU. So after that, you're talking 2000, Moi has betrayed them. And the other key moment and pivotal moment for Raila, especially in the mountain region, is when he said Kibaki Tosha. But you know, Raila said that it was not that when he writes, it's not something he designed to say. He said all of us the 8, because remember there was Charity Ngilu at that point, Yoka, there was Kijana wa Mwalo, Michael. All of them were contending to be presidential flag bearers in the upcoming elections with the Stanley Kibaki. And Raila comes to the podium, and because one of these people was willing to let go for another. He says that then I asked the people at Kamkunji ground, I asked them that, do you think that, and everyone said it's Kibaki Tosha, they said then Kibaki Tosha. And it changed the dynamics of Kenyan, it changed the dynamics of the election then, because in a long time, remember the rivalry between Jaramogi, his father, and Kenyatta, which had split Luo and the Kikuyu communities for a long time. Kibaki then travels to over the appointment of ministers. In 2005, they're going to have a referendum. Remember, ODM is born out of that. Kibaki was, we should not change the constitution, which was a banana. Raila Amolo Odinga is orange. So the orange wins, and then Raila starts gaining national momentum over Mwai Kibaki. Come 2007. If you read Benjamin Mkapa, who was part of the negotiations and a negotiator, of course, with Kofi Annan leading it, he says that the two protagonists behind this president who never wanted any negotiation to take place is now the new democratic evangelist Martha Karua and William Ruto, because William Ruto actually told the negotiators that there is no record of us cheating. So there is no reason why we should negotiate with him. The only thing we want is a rerun. And remember, Raila also tells you he got calls from people as high as Condoleezza Rice, who was Secretary of State for America then. So the Secretary of State is telling you need to negotiate. Bishop Desmond Tutu is in the country, and he says, I don't have to be invited for this. You have Yoweri Museveni calling you and all this. So he has been a man at high stakes all the time, and he has chosen and he has always chosen to lead, not to be led.
Not to be.
Yes, because mobs lead. Mobs
can sway you.
Mobs can sway you, and that's maybe the thinking you can think about. For example, a transition in Uganda. Okay. We're talking matters legacy. Okay. What does an opposition candidacy feel like today? Because maybe later we shall be discussing it. For example, now you have electoral apathy. People don't feel that elections can transform Uganda or things of that sort. So are you going to be led by these people, or you're going to lead them? For example, say, I'll break the NRM from within. Is it possible? What will they see you as? Do you care, or you have to be convicted? Because Raila Amolo Odinga was then convicted. Of course, I've not proceeded to discuss the events of 2007, the election in 2013, and his kind of very strategic thinking. Because right now, Raila has died when he's in a broad-based government with William Samoei Kipchirchir Ruto. What was the thinking then? Because he's the person who would calm the tempers in the country down. And right now, after his death, you can really see why it was possible, because he was a man respected and revered. Others were thinking of him as a deal maker, but he shows you in his thinking, if followed Raila Amolo Odinga, even read him, you don't need to speculate. Yeah. He's a man who says that I don't care as long as I'm convinced. And he puts it in many scenarios.
For as long as it keeps the country in one piece. Yeah.
He said Makto thought he was playing me, so was Ruben Chisire. Of course, people like Michael Chijana Amala, who was the first vice president, who was fighting with Raila over Ford, said that with Raila Amolo Odinga, there are three personalities. There is Raila, there is Amolo, and there is Odinga. But he rarely comes with the three in the meeting. So you need to know who you're discussing with. And remember, they had a lot of bitter quarrels in Ford and boys. A group of very chaotic boys thrust upon him, and he has walked the mantle. Yeah, so it's not Oburu. Oburu is not a leader. Remember, even Oburu lost a ticket. Lost an ODM ticket in the last election. You had to be pushed into the...
That this is a man who thought of and for Kenya before thinking about what his selfish interest was actually. We'll need to be taking a very short break. Later on, of course, we'll be looking at how that transits into the politics of other East African nations, but also looking at Uganda's political candidature that we do have currently. The presidents are on campaign trail. Next week, we will be having members of parliament as well getting nominated. What has changed? We would have MPs nominated and then the president's last, and then we would all go on campaign trail at the same time. Let's return in just a bit.
Tired of treating symptoms instead of healing the root cause? We know how overwhelming it feels when you have tried everything yet still don't feel better. At Renaissance Wellness, we combine years of expertise with safe, natural therapies designed just for you. Feel empowered. Live free from side effects. Rediscover your healthiest self.
Contact us on 039 3238 127 or 0779 945063. Boma Hotel, the Northern Paradise.
Is the wrong, get it,